So, thank you so much for coming tonight. Tonight, we're going to talk about CI at scale and some of the challenges that we face in the last 2 years. No, Mike. I need to speak louder. Is that good? What's up? Okay, okay, okay. Yeah, so I joined Jane 2 years ago, and this is a little bit of a summary of things that we had to solve in our journey. So yeah, I intend to split the presentation into three parts. Well, two mainly. One is the why. Why should you care about the CI? Well, I'm a DevOps, so I'm sorry, but you're gonna talk DevOps today. And some challenges. I have five challenges of having growth, exponential growth in your company. And yeah, and finally the outcomes. So the changes that we made is not the changes that we made, it's the business value that we brought. And you are all developers and you are my customer. So you're gonna see the potential of these changes. So me, who is this guy that is talking to you today? I'm the staff DevOps at Jane. So my role is to take code from developers and push it to production safely, right? Right. I'm a husband and a father of two. Uh, I managed a cyber cafe when I was 14. That was a lot of fun, like cracking games and changing the host file to connect to pirate servers. So yeah, I consider myself a system thinker. So I like to think about how things connect to each other and the consequences of one part with another part. Yeah, that's why I'm DevOps. Uh, as a hobby, I do woodworking and electronics. So that thing that you see there is a Raspberry Pi. So I own a laser cutter machine. Yeah, so that actually have Ubuntu and a keyboard and a little console that you can actually not see, but yeah. Um, that other thing there is a dashboard that is connected to AWS on real time. So I can see when somebody do a deployment, I had it like right here, and I could see like the latency and metrics and everything. So yeah, if you have a question about observability, reach me after the presentation. I'm passionate about that. And yeah, that's my LinkedIn. Feel free to send an invite, a connection invite. So yeah, so to what we came, why? Why you should care? For that, let's start with a story. So you're a startup, you're trying to get product market fit, whatever that means. Eventually, but you're only in Ruby, so you're gonna find a product market fit because you're gonna be really fast at finding new features and providing value to customers. But then the unfortunate success, when you hit that point and you get a massive flow of customers and everyone is happy, you're making money. On the platform side, it's not as good because everything breaks. So this presentation is about CI. So let's try to go back to the CI. And so builds are eventually going to slow down. So you're going to get more code, more tests, and everything. If that get managed, eventually will decay the whole process. So it's going to take longer to close those PRs. Those PRs are going to be batched together and they are going to go to release. But those releases are also going to get longer. And the longer it gets, the more planning we'll get. So this is a negative reinforcement loop. Trust goes to the drain. Your leaders are not going to think that you're going to solve these problems and they want to have more control. So you recognize that you are in this state when you spend most of your time talking about what you're going to do and not enough time doing the job. Right. Yeah. The beauty of this is that it goes both ways. So this is a small like animation of both ways. So one is like the bill going slower, and this eventually will translate into everything will grow except for releases. Releases will stop. Then we go half the build time, and eventually the system will go back to faster lead time. We have faster releases. We're going to have less planning and work in progress, less work in progress. So this is the best place to be because then you start gaining trust. So everything aligns. You're delivering value. the value that, so the time that it takes to deliver that value is faster. Your leaders will start trusting you. So yeah, this is the goal. This is the dream. So none of this is new. Like, I strongly recommend, if you're interested about how these systems work together, I recommend this book called Thinking in Systems. Uh, Basically, is finding leverage. Like, I don't know, I'm lazy. I don't work as much, but the work I do is super high effective, right? So my leaders are really happy, even though I work not that many hours. Right? So yeah, this is the cheat sheet. Like, here is understanding the system and make changes. So that's it. We went through the DevOps part. Yay! So to what you guys came, the challenges, right? Um so let's start with Jane. This is actually Jane 2 years ago. Uh, so everyone was complaining that it wasn't a great experience to be at Jane. Sorry, Jane. It everyone said takes forever to release. Nothing gets done. I still here today. Nothing gets done. So maybe. Uh, and setting up your local machine takes forever. Uh, so as you can see here, there is an even worse problem. We didn't have any data. Like, this is all like people talking. So you know something is wrong, don't know why. So specifically why. So the first iteration was to go and implement CI observability. So in this case, we decided to go with Datadog. The implementation is literally really easy. Like, in a day, you can get hook Datadog to your GitHub, and you start seeing everything. Like, you can see even a step level. You will know when things fails, when things spike up on all the repositories. So even if you are microservice or monolithic, or you're gonna see the whole thing. So with this, you're gonna have a little bit more understanding of where do you need to optimize, and eventually you will go to do two parts. So you need to optimize the build, and you need to optimize the test. So what can you do to optimize the build? So actually, this is what we did at Jane. We improved the way we use Docker. So you can optimize the way cache is done, so that you don't have to build every single time. Instead, you download the latest cache. And this saved us like 75% of the build time, just not building at all. So that translates into savings, but more on that later. Uh, Another side is npm. PNPM, if you're not familiar, is a no package manager optimized for this. I think it uses like 90%, sorry, 10% of this of npm, because it doesn't have to copy all the dependencies all the way down. You internal referencing. So at the end, it's like it's optimized for this. But the beauty of PNPM for CI is that CI has to install every single time. So you have to download the world with no modules. With this, we got a pleasant surprise that not only the install was faster, but the cache download was faster. The cache upload was faster. So the whole pipeline was faster, just like removing the time that it takes to download stuff. And finally, we moved Circle CI and Cobuild all to GitHub Actions. And after we were in GitHub Actions, we learned about Depot. Depot offers on-demand hosted runners, hosted GitHub runners. So you basically put the credit card, change one thing in the GitHub action, and that's it. You get 25% higher performance at half percent the price than GitHub action on-demand runners. So management was super happy with this change. So yeah, going back to the trust, like, we're making a small little changes. This effort took like a week, right? But we are trusted that we're going to experiment and look for things, how we can improve the system. Uh, yeah, the flip side of that is tests. So I hope everyone is parallelizing your tests. If you don't, you will have to solve that problem. You will have to parallelize your test. Uh, the other side is: are you familiar with Postgres the temp file system? because these lines in your Docker Compose will have 30% faster RSpec test just because they don't have to run in this the data. Yeah, I encourage you to investigate this. And finally, promote. So when I joined Jane, we actually were doing parallelize, but we were building Jane every single parallelize job. And building Jane took around 10 minutes, right? So at this scale, wasn't cost effective to parallelize anymore because we were paying 10 minutes of build for 5 minutes of test. So no, we are not going to pay anymore there. So how we did that is build once. So on a PR, when a PR is updated, we build the image, and that image then is downloaded by all the parallel jobs. So instead of 10 minutes building every time, we only download like 1 minute. Uh, but as you can see, well, this is another problem. If you parallelize your job, some tests are going to take a lot longer than others. So for that is uneven test distribution. So for this particular problem, you can go and use a pay service. I think Cypress offer this that they will manage and the load distribution. We decided to go with the split test, an open source split test application. Basically, how it works is you execute on main your test, and the JUnit reports are stored as artifacts, and then all the tests across your repo are going to pull the latest results. And with that information, a split test with evenly split the test. And this translates that within a minute, we have right now 40 parallel jobs. Within a minute, all of them finish. Uh, yeah. So next is lack of ownership. So it's inevitable that as you grow, so for example, Jane grew double every year. So it's impossible for a single team to own the whole thing. Even when you were part of that team, you move to another team, new files, new modules get added. It's really hard to know who did what, right? So I extremely encourage you to use co-owners. So basically, this is the implementation. You specify a file or a folder, and you set up which team owns it, and that's it. GitHub is going to automatically assign reviewers based on that file. A little bit of warning: this is going to be a little bit noisy and annoying at the beginning because there are no clear boundaries, and sometimes the ownership shift. But believe me, this is gonna pay off a lot. You will see as we follow on. So the next one is Flaky test. So Flaky test is when you run CI and you just click retry and it goes green. There is nothing worse than that because your confidence in CI goes to zero. Now it's like this is your CI that is broken, right? It's not me. And then you can retry again in 2 times. So yeah, for that, we double down in Datadog. So Datadog monitors for Flaky tests. So when they execute, when you see a red and a green on the same Git shop, it's going to automatically flag that test as Flaky. So what we ended up doing is we created monitors, real-time monitors, so that when CI detected, sorry, when GitHub, Datadog detected that there was an error, we were going to get a notification in Slack. And this set in motion a totally shift in behavior. So before, when someone observed a Flaky test, he had to go and chase down who is the owner. Hey, are you the owner? Please quarantine, or is this okay to skip? But now we have an automatic system that is going to ping the specific team, and we created SLAs on that behavior now, right? So, and we didn't push anymore. The teams wanted to own their test. So within 1 day, teams were fixing, they were prioritizing fixing the Flaky test. This is the biggest thing to recover CI, because if you have untrusted CI, it's like not having CI. And the last one is congested main. So yeah, Jane, when COVID hit, we were like 8 teams. Now we are 32 teams, and we're still in a single main. So you cannot have everything goes in the same at the same time. So not all PRs are the same. So what that means is sometimes you have README changes, CI changes, our spec changes. That change on the test, right? We wanted to encourage people to keep doing the changes, but in this at this time, they have to orchestrate with who is releasing. Can I please go and put that? We call these PRs zero risk PRs. So can I just merge these zero risk PRs before your release? And at the end of the day, a lot of mistakes were made. People merged when they shouldn't merge. A lot of redo work. So what we ended up doing is we use Mergify. With Mergify, they have a feature for scheduled merges. So we basically said after six, zero risk PRs are going to be merged overnight, and that worked beautifully. So 30% of all the PRs that were merged to master went through Mergify overnight. So yeah, these align pretty well with a quality quarter that we had. Like we wanted to recover CI, so these empower the team to actually be able to execute a lot faster. And with that, the outcomes. Uh, so end to end, we were able to improve CI by 30% at 60% the cost. You might think like before I said 50%, but now it's 60%. There is a beautiful thing about serverless is that the faster you execute, the less you pay. So if before it took us 10 minutes, now it took us 8 minutes. That's 20% savings just by not doing the work, right? So that's why it's even better. Thanks to the Flaky test uh, process, we were able to go from one every two executions fail to one every 10 executions fail. So on top of that, going back to the build and the change and how the higher work in progress, being able to have a faster PRs by 20%. And so, hold on. I want to actually execute a little experiment here. So, reduce PRs released by 50%. That is a lot. It's not. It doesn't seem like a lot. So, what I have here is these are cards, but imagine that these cards are actually PRs, right? So 2 years ago, this was a release. So we had 8 PRs as part of the release, right? This might seem normal, but this is not, right? So even if you're a team of two, three, five, like you still need to orchestrate all of this, right? So you will do this PR, but you need to wait for CI, so I'm gonna start this one. And then this one is in QA. And eventually you are all this and you need to manage all of this. So this is going to translate, according to the theory, that you're gonna spend 40% of your time just juggling these things. And on top of that, poor soul that had to put this into production because you will never understand what is going on here, right? So you just put it in production and hope for the best. The truth is, the best is not going to arrive. We had 10% incident rate, so 1 in 10 deployments were going to cause an incident. Yes, part of growth is incidents. So now this is how many PRs are per release today. So only 4, right? So this is what the feedback loop is about. So you don't get higher quality by just investing more time in quality. Like this is easier to have context for. This is easier to manage in your team and moving around. So yeah, and not to mention, so you have to deal with other teams. So imagine if I give you this to you, and you have to the colors. So you do the reds and you do the blacks, and you have to somehow orchestrate your eight, but you need red to solve your reds, and yes, so it's not the best place to be. So with this, we were able to triple the number of the daily releases. So when I joined, we had 3 releases a day. Now last week we had the record of 11 releases a day. So pretty exciting times. And with that, are there any questions?